few people in, and I want to respect their time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Danielle Woodhouse-Johnson. I'm the founder and CEO of the Oasis Alliance. We're an organization based in Woodbridge, Virginia, and it's there are three of us, three interior stylists, designers, and our mission is to use the power of interior design to help trauma survivors overcome their trauma. And so what we do with our organization is we have referral agencies that refer families and individuals to us, and we co-create spaces with them that will promote their mental health and well-being and help them move to the next phase of their lives and get over whatever traumatic event happened to them. Most of the time, our clients, the people that we serve, are overcoming domestic violence. Sometimes it's single mothers with multiple children, veterans with PTSD, children that have suffered sexual abuse, etc. And so we work to empower them by co-creating spaces. So taking into account what they want with their space, not just giving them furniture and making a beautiful home, but making sure that whatever we do with them, and we empower them through design. And so we make their spaces reflect what they want, give them choices and give them options, and make it so that they feel like they are a part of our process. And then when they're in their space, they feel reflected and they just feel affirmed. And so Cathy is our Chief Design Officer, Cathy Guerra. She is a business owner of Interior Stylings by Cat. Cathy used to be my supervisor at a staging company I worked at. And I remember when she walked through the door, there was just a presence about her. There was something that I can't even really articulate when she walked in that was calming to me at that time, and that was so many years ago. Wow. And I left that organization, I left that company, and she continued to work there for a while, but we always kept in touch. And I did not know that moment, that comfort that I felt, was actually a reflection of what was to come for us. Is using that power that we have to bring the peace to people who really, really need it. Not just folks who can afford to pay for interior design, but people who need that design to survive and to thrive in their lives in a very real and tangible way. So before we get started, Cathy, well, let's do this first. Before we get started, Cathy wanted to clear the negative energy from the past, however long you've been feeling, because we're all feeling it, so that we can have a quick moment to reflect on the current times, and then we can dive into the good stuff in terms of interior design and mental health.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Hi guys, thank you for joining us. So I'm going to be clearing the air with a little sound energy from my singing bowl, and then we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you.
Okay, for one moment, I'm going to black out the screen. I want to have a moment of silence for the victims of police brutality, on screen and off screen, seen and unseen, and the systems of oppression on Black and brown people that have made those violent acts possible. But instead of a moment of silence, I wanted to challenge us to use this instead to create a moment of affirmation, So instead of mourning the collective loss of all of our victims of police brutality, I wanted us to choose a solid action that we're going to commit to over the next week and make that the subject of your moment of silence, because we no longer want silence, we want action, and to move towards the change that we all want to see in this world of a more peaceful and just world. So just take the next 30 seconds to reflect on something that you can do tangibly to create this change, however small it is. Thank you to all of you for participating in that moment. I think it's important sometimes to take a moment to reflect and plan for your changes in whatever ways you can. So thank you. So now we're going to get into the good stuff. I'm excited to have this conversation with Kat. I mean, I just think she's a wealth of knowledge. She's a talented stager, interior stylist, merchandiser. She's worked for a lot of the nation's greatest decor stores. And she's also a natural healer. So she's someone who knows how to integrate natural elements to create peace in your home. And she carries a peaceful presence about her. The work we do at Oasis Alliance is centered on mental health. We are making the connection between trauma, between enhanced mental health and interior design, which is something that we don't really think about for people who are deemed as vulnerable in our society. We consider design and interior styling to be a luxury. And here at the Oasis Alliance, we consider it a right. We consider it a necessary tool to make the lives of a lot of people better that wouldn't necessarily get a chance to experience that for themselves. And Kat understands this in a very deep way in terms of mental health, interior spaces, and how they connect. And so I just want to introduce you and let you talk a little bit. My first question for you is, unless you would like to introduce yourself or say anything before we jump in, let me give you that.
Hi, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us. That was a beautiful introduction, Danielle. Yeah. It's basically who I am and what I do. I opened my interior design business about 4 years ago. A lot of you follow me on Interior Stylings by Kat, so thank you for that, for always supporting us. And yeah, that's all for now, and I'll answer the first question soon. I'm a little nervous, but I'm here because I need to speak up and I need to share my talents with you. I have a lot of knowledge on a lot of things, and healing spaces is definitely one of them. So I want to share what I know about that with you today.
Yeah, our clients for the Oasis Alliance have benefited from her insight and her knowledge and her talent and her heart for healing. And so they've been able to benefit, but we want you all to benefit as well, especially during this time when everyone is in a state of turmoil and stress in their spirits. And you need calm, especially in your home when you're forced to be there most of the time with quarantine. The restrictions are lifting, but we still will be home for most of the time. And so we want those places to be a sanctuary for us. And so I wanted to ask you, Kat, first, how do you see interior design and mental health intersecting?
Okay. So before I answer that, I do want to bring up a subject. What's been going on in the U.S. and the worldwide has been very devastating and heartbreaking. I'm also an empath. I'm a feeler. I feel energy and I know energy. And so I've been praying for everybody out there. And it's very heartbreaking. So knowing this, knowing my power and my energy, I want to start doing a lot more healing spaces. And basically, a healing space, just to start off, a healing space is basically your sanctuary place, a place of refuge, somewhere where you go to pray, to be still, to escape from the world. And a lot of those places should be your home, because at the end of the day, sometimes that's all where we can turn is our home. So I'm going to make more healing spaces from now on. So to answer your question, Danielle, I definitely think that design has a lot to do with mental health. It's almost like when you think of a relationship, right? You nurture that relationship with your significant other. You constantly communicate with that person. You love on that person, and that brings forth a healthy space. And so it's the same thing for interior design. The more you clean it, cleanse it physically and spiritually, the more uncluttered it is, the energy that you bring into it, if it's a happy energy, a joyful energy, then it's the same thing. Almost like you're nurturing a relationship, so you're nurturing your space in your home. So I think that has to do a lot with mental health. If it was cluttered, if your house was cluttered, I don't know if you've ever heard this saying when someone says, a cluttered mind also reflects on your cluttered home. And that's very true. So I just feel like if you unclutter and cleanse and your house is pure and it's your sanctuary, it goes both ways with your mental health, and it really keeps your mind healthy. It keeps it focused. And and it just keeps you very creative to create and do what you love out here in the world, share your talents with the world. So I think it goes hand in hand for sure.
Absolutely. I think what you're saying is spot on with, I can think about the families that we've helped and their spaces. Many times we help people who don't have a house and they're coming into their home and it's completely empty. And a couple times we've helped families, right, that have not had a bed to sleep on. They don't have any furniture whatsoever. So we come into the house and they're on mattresses on the floor. So what their space is telling them is that they don't have abundance, that they have lack, that they're not enough, that they're not supported and cared for, that basically it's telling them who they are, right? And so we come in to tell them a different story about themselves, which is you are a worthwhile human being. You are loved, for your thoughts are valuable, your desires and what colors you like and all of those things are all valuable, and they're all part of the puzzle of mental health and empowerment. And so exactly what you were saying about spaces just basically influencing how you see yourself and and your mental health. I think that's totally spot on. What are some elements that make up a nurturing space for you?
Okay, so I had this realization the other day. So I'm an altar maker. I know a lot of people don't resonate with that or don't practice it, but I basically came to the conclusion that a healing space and the elements that should be in that space is almost very much like an altar. So I want to go through some of the things that should be in your space to create that natural flow, that positive energy, that clearing of the mind. So it's basically the 4 elements. I'm going to be talking about air, incorporating air in your space, earth, fire, and water. And I'll tell you how it mixes with interior design, how it blends. So the first thing is first. Layout has a lot to do with healing space. You have to make sure that the flow of your house is right. The way that you position your furniture, everything is in motion. So it has to be cleared, it has to be spacious and uncluttered, but layout is first things first. So as designers, that's the first thing that we check out is how can this layout be better? How can the flow of energy be better in the space? So that's the first thing that you have to do for a healing space. The next thing you have to do is just clean. Clean your space physically and spiritually. And I'll tell you how you can do that spiritually by some of the tools that I'll be sharing with you. But like I said in the beginning, if your space is clear and it's clean, then that's also how you'll feel inside. You'll feel like it's the perfect oasis for you to relax in, you know? So all that goes hand in hand. Let me see. So one thing I wanted to say about cleansing your space is letting natural air in. A lot of people don't think about this, but even just opening your window and allowing that natural air to flow into your space, it's a word of a difference, you know. There could be energy that's in your house that has been staying stagnant, or maybe you guys had a fight, or, you know, someone had a fight in your space. But once you open that window, it just lets the natural air in and all the negative stuff out. That's what I believe. And that's what I try to give to all my clients when I'm decorating their spaces, you know, practicing some of these things. The other thing is letting natural sunlight in. It's just, there's something about the sunlight, you know, it's a healing remedy. It's natural. I don't know if you've ever felt like, you know, you just needed a break from the world, or you needed some natural fresh air, and you just walked outside, sat on the grass, and took that sun in. That's basically what the house is doing. So if you open up the windows, you get some natural air in there, some natural sunlight. It's very, very healing. So the sun energy is very powerful and very healing. So that's one thing. So let's go into the elements, right? So these are all the elements that I feel like you should bring into your home to make it that healing, sacred space. So let's start with air. I like using incense. If you were with us from the beginning, and let me show you, I have some tools here. It's kind of like a show and tell tonight, guys, all right?
Yeah, I love it. Let's hear it.
Okay. So for air, there's a lot of things you can do. And I'm also going to talk about the colors that are incorporated or that tie in with these elements.
Okay.
Yeah, like paint colors that you can have in your house to help you bring in those elements in your home. So the first thing, I love burning incense. Not everybody likes them, but I love it. It brings in that natural purity in the air. It cleanses my, you know, my space. And my favorite is Nag Champa.
Okay.
This is what I use.
Let me see.
It smells amazing. I actually have it burning right now. It's just really relaxing and soothing. So I really like using that.
Is there a place that you go to get good incense that you prefer? I know there's a store. It's an herb store on Georgia Avenue in DC. It's called the Blue Nile. They have everything. They have everything from incense to some of these things that I'm going to show you, like sage. So sage brings in you know, air element to your space. Also Palo Santo, which I have here. So it's basically a purifier of the air, and it also relaxes you. So these are the elements that I like bringing into my client's space, especially if it's a healing space. Let me see what else. I read that, I think in an article, maybe this week or last week, that that staging your house, I mean, it's an ancient American Indian ritual, but that even science proves that the smoke actually kills bacteria in your space and literally cleans it. So
It does.
the
I believe
spiritual
that.
and
Yeah.
the scientific perspective, it works.
Absolutely. It really does. And it really clears your mind too.
Mhm.
Another oops, sorry guys. Another fragrance that I like is lavender. I don't know if you
Oh
can
yeah.
see it, but I made this sachet. I love lavender, so I always keep that around so that I can smell it in the air.
Hmm.
um, so air, so we're still on air.
Hmm.
The scent of a candle will also bring that healing energy into your space. And so let's talk about the paint colors. You got it? I have one too. It's lit.
That's funny.
So I guess if we're talking about interior design, let's talk about the paint colors that will be associated with air. When you think about air, I'm thinking fresh and lighter colors, a lot of whites, very, very light pastels.
Okay.
So that brings the sense of air. Let's move on to earth. So remember, to bring your healing space into harmony,
Okay.
I'm suggesting using all these elements: air, earth, fire, and water.
Okay.
So we talked about air. Now we're going to earth. So with earth, you could bring in wood elements, natural fibers, stone, a lot of textures that you get from earth. One thing I love doing is foraging, but I'm going to get into that later because I have a
Yes.
lot of things to show you guys. And it saved us for a couple installs too when
It
I
did,
just
it
went and
did.
foraged some twigs and some
We
branches,
have some
right?
stories. We have some stories about sticks. Yes.
Yeah, I mean they come in handy and they're great home decor and it's free,
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
um, so that's one thing that you could bring into your house. A lot of plants represent earth. Um, And the colors that would be associated with earth are basically earthy colors, like think fall, very bold, strong, powerful colors.
Okay.
So that's what I would associate with earth. With fire, bringing fire into your home, that could mean lighting, having the
Mm.
perfect
Okay.
lighting or mood lighting. That sets the tone too for a healing space. Candles, of course, like we just talked, fire element. You want candles to keep, burning in your space. And the colors that are associated with that is like more bold, energetic colors, like a red,
Orange.
orange,
Hmm.
colors like that. So
Hmm.
that will be associated with bringing fire into your space
Hmm.
from an interior design standpoint of view. So now we're going into water. A lot of the decor that you use can have a water elements like a water fountain. If you're into crystals, I think I have one right here. Let me see. If you're into crystals, a good representation of water could be like a clear quartz.
Mm. That's beautiful.
And they're great for decoration too. You could put it on a book, on a shelf, coffee table, wherever you want. So they're really pretty. And again, you're bringing those natural elements from nature indoors.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, plants, because plants carry water because they need water to live. So plants actually goes into all the categories of the elements. If you think about it, air, earth, and fire and water.
Hmm.
Plants carry all four of them. So plants are really good for your house. They purify the air in your house, and I just really believe in them. I have them all over my house, and I love them. And I definitely try to incorporate them in all my projects with my clients also.
What
Uh,
does it mean if you kill? What does it mean if you kill all your plants?
uh,
I struggle.
maybe you should read. Maybe you gotta read a book on it, or
Yeah.
watch a couple tutorials on
I'll just
YouTube.
call you. I'll just call
But
you.
it could be, it could mean a lot of things. Like let's say if the leaves are brown on the tips, that
Mhm.
means you're watering it too much or
Okay.
you're almost drowning it out. If they're turning I'm sorry, if they're turning yellow, it's because you're drowning them out. You're putting too much water.
Yeah.
Now, if the tips are brown, they need more water. So they're
Okay.
basically just burning because they're drying out. So there's just things like you can physically see what's wrong with your plant You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then you can take care of it. Once you see those things. But yeah,
Yeah.
so talking about, so those are all the elements.
Hmm.
And let's talk about foraging, because that's one thing that I truly believe in and I really love. So these, I don't know if you can see, but let me just show you. Yeah,
Let
yeah,
me
go
tell them
ahead.
really quick about
Yeah.
you. And
Okay.
so this woman is the most creative. She will go out and go out into the down the street, find some sticks, some rocks, and make something look just so beautiful. And that is one of the main things that impressed me is when when we first started working together, she did this. It was an installation inside of the office where we work, and she used these sticks and did this paint on the sticks and then wrapped them in yarn. And I'd never seen anything like it. I'm like, who put this on the wall? And it looks absolutely gorgeous. And
Yes.
and she made them herself. And from that point on, like, I was able to observe her doing what she's about to tell you, which is an incredible talent and takes a lot of creativity to bring natural elements into your space and make it look really good. So yeah.
Thank you. Thanks,
Hmm.
Danielle. I really
Hmm.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I guess I should start with my stick that I found and I painted. So these are, we'll talk about DIYs a little later in this chat, but I did want to talk about it now and share my stick with you because it's part of what we're talking about. So I basically just forage. I love going to the woods and finding sticks that have fell off trees, branches, old branches. I love dead natural stuff. And like you can see, so this vase right here, I foraged all of these in the fall when everything was like dying. I foraged this, and now it's in my vase in my foyer. So these are all natural elements. I just sprayed it with hairspray so that nothing goes flying, and yeah, it was free.
Hmm.
So that's that. I also like, I don't know if you can see behind me, but I have, just branches in my house and plants. I just love them. It's a visual. It's very pretty, and it's just a nice way to incorporate those natural elements into your house.
Hmm.
I'll show you guys on my page, or if you go visit my page, you can most likely see. I feel like I've posted that before.
Hmm.
Um, so this is a stick that I have in my room. I foraged this stick, and I painted it. Can you see it?
I can see it. Yeah.
I painted it and I wrapped it with yarn, and it's basically hanging in my office. So I converted it into an art piece.
Hmm.
So these are things that you can do with your kids if you don't have no money, or you
Hmm.
want to decorate a wall or add some texture and natural elements to your gallery wall or something like that. I definitely recommend this. It's really easy. And all
Hmm.
I did was I added some string right here
Hmm.
to hang it on the wall. So I
Yeah.
added two. It's really nice. So I'll post about that on my page so you guys can see what my office looks like.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's one thing. So I love foraging. That's a natural way that you can get free elements in your house without money.
Hmm.
Another thing I did want to talk about was thrifting. I'm a thrifter. A lot of people know, right? Danielle's a thrifter too.
Yes.
You're a thrifter. And we love it. If we don't have a lot of money, that's where we go. We can find things that we find at the regular retail stores like Home Goods and Home Sense, places like that, at a discounted price, 75% off almost. It's almost free. So why not? A lot of places that I like going, definitely I want to give a shout out to DC Goodwill because they support me a lot. So I shop there a lot.
Hmm.
Finding Your Good is part of the Goodwill movement. So if you're not following them, please go ahead and follow them. They're amazing. So I did want to give a shout out to them. But
Hmm.
I'll definitely share some things with you a little soon. But yeah, so that's what I have on that, on the foraging. I
Yeah.
love it.
Just to talk a little bit about the thrifting and my love for it. And I don't know if it's going to change now with COVID, if there's going to be something different about it. I have missed it so much. Not only is it amazing for the environment, but you can, it allows you to flex your creativity in a sense, to reimagine things that have been cast aside and kind of bring life to them again. And that's the part that I like the most about it. I started thrifting when I was in junior high school, honestly, because my mom didn't have the means necessary to take me to go like school shopping for new clothes. And so my way of expressing myself would be to go to a thrift shop and put together my own outfit that was something different than what everybody else had. And then it just became a love to the point where even if I could afford something new, I still wanted to go and challenge myself and see what I could find there. And so not only is it good for the environment, but it also it gives you an opportunity to kind of reimagine things. And it's not for everybody, but if you do like it, it ends up being a great resource for your designs in your home.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it saves you money. You know,
Right.
I actually started, since you told your story about how you started thrifting, it's actually a generational thing that has been passed down to me, which is insane that now I'm an interior designer. But my love for thrifting actually started with my grandmother, my dad's mom. She loved thrifting. She would always go and thrift clothes, home decor. I remember a cat that she had made of ceramic. I loved it. It just stayed ingrained in my mind. So my dad, you know, once I saw that, he would take me to the thrift stores himself. You know, he would shop for a lot of our home decor. So I don't know. Let me just say one thing. So a lot of my talents, I feel like, came from my father. He's almost like a landscape artist. And when I was younger, he would be the one decorating our home. It wasn't my mother.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So a lot of that I learned from him. And I learned thrifting from him because he would take me to the stores and we would just thrift home decor. So I learned saving and just thrifting and reusing and recycling from him. So he created a lot of beautiful things. He actually just created like a driftwood piece for his garden. So I definitely think I got that foraging skill from him also.
Well, if you're able to get a picture of it and show us on your page at some point in your stories, I'd love to see that.
I will.
Awesome.
Okay, I will definitely. Yep. So the one thing I did want to say, since we're on the topic of thrifting, is just being mindful of every piece that you bring into your home.
Yes.
Let it be meaningful, you know, let it be purposeful. Bring natural plants instead of, you know, faux plants. You know, to just clear the air and give you that natural feeling, that sense of serenity in your space. So just think about all the pieces that you bring in. Also think this also, because they've been in another person's possession. They've been in another person's home. So remember, when you bring it into your home, to cleanse it off of the person's energy, because you're now welcoming it into your new home, you know, somewhere new, which is your home. So just keep that in mind also.
Okay. All right. So
I guess it's time, right?
Yeah. So you talked about foraging, you talked about thrifting, you showed us some of the elements that you bring into the space. You talked about the 4 elements and how we can incorporate them in our space. What are some DIYs for people who don't? So right now, a lot of people are struggling and have maybe lost income. You talked about foraging and bringing in natural elements from the forest and things like that. But what would you say are a few projects that you think someone with little resource can do to bring those elements into their home?
Absolutely. Okay. So let's talk about it. So one thing, if you missed it and you're just joining us, is definitely foraging for natural elements. Let me just show this one more time just in case somebody missed it. But all of these twigs here that you see, I foraged them in the fall when everything was dried up and dead, but they look gorgeous in my vase, which I actually thrifted too, $10. um, so yeah, so that's a DIY you can do, is just go out on a nature walk and see what you find. I also like drying up flowers.
You be proud of me.
There you go. Yep.
These are like
exactly
that I saw on my walk this morning, and I just
they're so pretty.
Yeah.
They're so beautiful, and you're bringing that natural element. You know, you're bringing the outdoors in, so that's perfect. So if you missed it, also I was saying, if you forage, go to the woods, take a walk, forage some sticks. This is a DIY that you can do with your kids. You could just paint. This is actually a fabric that I just glued on there.
Okay.
Yep, wrapped on there, and I added string to hang it on both ends. So this lives in my office. So that's one thing that you can do without any money.
Okay.
Another thing is finding other natural elements, like to use as home decor, like this shell that I found. It is really pretty. And that can be set in a bowl with other shells on your coffee table or something like that. This was gifted to me by a client. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little sheer.
Can you put your hand behind it, like the makeup YouTubers do? Okay.
But it's from the ocean, and I just think it's so pretty. So this lives in my shelf. It adds texture, and it adds, you know, interest to my shelf behind my books. So that's one thing that I love. The other thing you can do, if you have any pots and you want to give them new life, this was a pot that I remade. I basically painted the bottom of it white.
Okay.
And then I wrapped twine on it, which is this. And these are all made of natural fibers.
Okay.
So I feel like that's the key point here, is bringing natural elements into a healing space to create that healing space and that natural flow. So yeah, what do you guys think about my plan? You like it? Isn't it?
It's adorable.
So that's one thing you can do if you don't have many money. This is another one I made, if you can see it.
Oh, I love the feather on there too. That's beautiful.
And so I just have like my feathers in there that I find walking. But I love it, you know, and feathers can be used as decor also. You can put it in a clear jar, in whatever vase you want. So it's very pretty, and you're bringing the elements from outside in. Another thing you can do is think about what you already have, right? I think Cathy said this in the last interview that you gave her last week. She said, shop your home. And I mean, it's brilliant, right? Why can't you shop your home? Use something that you have in one space that's been living there for a long time and repurpose it somewhere else. So for me, that would be, this was a shower curtain, if you can see it. Let me show you. So this is a shower curtain, but I have used it as a headboard. I put it up with a bamboo stick and pins or some nails, and it becomes my headboard. I've also used it as a blanket to put on my bed to give it some texture and color and interest, but it's a shower curtain, y'all. So it's all about getting creative, you know, and I love this. So that's one suggestion I can give. The other thing is, think about things in a different light almost. So this is a placemat. I think I got it at World Market. It's really pretty. I think it was on sale. It's only $5, but it was on sale, I think, for $2.50. I want to make a pillow out of it. But I'm just waiting for the right fabric to put behind it. So think about things like that. If you have cool placemats or an old t-shirt, make a pillow out of it, you know, and refresh your living room without money. So yeah, guys, that's all I can say. Let me show you some other forage things that I really love. So this was a lotus pod that I found out in nature, and this is just sits on my bookshelf as home decor.
Mm-hmm.
I love dried roses, so I always place those anywhere. Here's some a bouquet that I had. And dried eucalyptus is really pretty also.
Is there a best way to dry your flowers to make them, really look nice? Do you
Yeah,
hang?
yep. I hang them. Yep. So you
Mhm.
just tie it. You can tie it with twine or any type of string, and
Okay.
then you can just peg it onto the wall and let them dry naturally.
Okay.
That way they're not getting smushed or they're not losing leaves or anything like that or
Okay.
petals. These are, I don't know what this is, but I thought it was so pretty. So this just sits on top of a book.
That
It
is
came from a
nice.
tree, and these are juniper berries. I love how they smell. So these just lay out on my end table, and I could just have a beautiful, like a natural smelling incense almost.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my DIYs for you guys.
Listeners, let us know if you have a hard time hearing us, because I feel like the volume. I do have a rainstorm happening on this end. So, but yeah, I really those elements. I mean, most people would not see them and think they're trash, or think that they're just natural waste. But the fact that you can bring them in and integrate it into your space and highlight it as a feature in your home is really cool to me. I think it's a skill that people can have. It just takes some time, and it takes opening up your mind to see things differently, which you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That's awesome. Oh,
It's
around
just
the beard too.
finding things, huh?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
It's just all about finding things in nature. When you're taking a walk in nature, just
Mm-hmm.
opening your eyes and just seeing what's around you.
Right.
I decorate a lot of my clients' homes with fallen branches, big branches that have just fallen to the ground and they're just there,
Mm-hmm.
Why not? It's free. Hmm.
Yeah. One time they cut down a cherry blossom tree close to our house.
Hmm.
It was gorgeous, and they cut it down because the roots were messing with somebody's pipes. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
my children and I loved looking at it. We loved watching it bloom every year. And so when they cut it down, we took a stick from the cuts to bring into
Hmm.
our home to kind of remember the tree. And
Yeah.
I just planted some vines around it so that they can wrap themselves around that stick, just
Hmm.
as a memory of it. And yeah, I feel like it does bring some energy into our space. So we're trying to practice all
Absolutely.
of these good tips that you've been giving us over here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a great point. Everything that you bring into your home brings a certain energy.
Hmm.
So you got to just be mindful and just remember to keep everything purposeful.
Right,
Use everything for its purpose and have a reason for it to be in your room and into your healing space.
right.
Hmm.
So I think now you've given us some DIYs. You've given us a lot of knowledge. A lot of people don't think about natural elements this way. I'm going to open up for some questions and see if the folks that
Okay.
are on the live want to ask you anything about natural healing, about changing their spaces. The floor is open. It looks like there's a question sort of function here where you can push the question and it'll send it to me. If not, you can
Okay.
just put it in the chat box. We're all trying
Okay.
to figure out how to use this technology, but
I know it's hard for me too, but let me look back and see if I see any questions.
okay, that sounds good.
I don't see anything, but do you guys have anything that you want me to share or talk about? Just let us know. I think we have, how many more minutes do we have left?
I let's see. I don't know what time it is because I don't want to take out the slide.
Let me see. Hold on, I got my computer right here.
Okay.
It's 7:50, so we've been on almost an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we've got about 10 minutes for questions. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Where did you find your mask? From Pretty Kernels. Thank you, Pretty Kennels. Pretty Kennels. Thank you so much for
Oh,
reposting our page. I saw all that all are reposting yesterday, and we just want to say thank you so much for helping us to get our name out there so that we can do more work in the community. But you want to tell her about your
Absolutely.
masks?
Hi, Pretty Kennels. Thank you so much for supporting us. I saw the story that you did on us today, and we really appreciate it. The more awareness we have, the better, the more people we could help out. So I really appreciate you. So you're asking me where I found my masks. You see it? So believe it or not, you know, so I'm a bargain. I'm a bargain hunter. Also, okay. So this large. Oops, someone's calling me. Hold on, guys. Okay, so this large mask, believe it or not, I got it at Ross for only $12, which is crazy, and it's made out of natural wood, so it's pretty heavy piece. This other piece I found at the thrift store, and it actually came from Indonesia. So it's hand carved, handmade in Indonesia. So that's, I found it at the thrift store, and I don't think it was more than $5. Yep. Anybody else have more questions? I guess I'll share like a certain things that I bring into my spaces also while we wait for questions. Since we only have 10 minutes left. I love using natural elements like baskets. And I love basket bowls. They catch everything. You can put them in your foyer or anywhere you want. Baskets are great to use as a hamper, kids' toy storage, like whatever you want, as a planter holder. Another natural element I like is pottery. So I like bringing in natural elements like this, handmade pottery. And I found all this at the thrift store, guys, so don't be surprised about the treasures you can find. This is actually a vase made in Pier 1 Imports, but I found it at the thrift store, so, yep.
Hey, Kat, can you talk
about these beautiful drums, cowhide drums, at the thrift also. So if you're not familiar with DC Goodwill, make sure you follow them. I shop there a lot, and I found these there. Really pretty natural elements. So these are the type of elements that I like bringing into my space. I think we have another question, right? Let's see.
Yeah, so Fort Toss Repeat, thank you. It looks like she might be leaving, but she did post a story today too, so wanted to thank her for that, for all of her support.
I can't hear you.
I don't know what's going on. It's hard to hear you too. You can't hear me at all? Okay, well, go ahead. You can answer the questions for folks.
Okay, let me see. Let's see. How do you know if someone is real? Oh, if something is real when you find it at the thrift store. What do you mean real? I'm having a hard time understanding that question. Can you emphasize a little bit, Sia? So Yvette, my sister, she asked, how do you personally self-care and heal yourself, especially during these trying times? So if you missed the beginning of the chat, we kind of spoke about that on how we've been healing during this time and things that you can do. So before this show happened, I haven't shared this yet, but let me show you guys. One thing I've personally been doing is taking salt baths. Can you guys hear me?
It's hard. It's really hard.
How about the viewers? Can you guys hear me?
Just a little bit.
Okay. So one thing that I do to heal myself is, like I said, creating a sanctuary space in my home with all the elements that I shared earlier. And I think we're going to save this too. So if you guys missed the beginning, then you can just go back and watch it. But one thing I did before coming on here was taking a bath with bath salts. So that's one thing that I do to heal myself in my space. And I added lavender in there and rose petals. So it just makes me feel relaxed, you know? Let's see what the next question was. Okay. How do you know if a piece you find, oops, hold on. It disappeared. Hold on, guys. Oh, okay. So Morgan asked, how do you know if a piece you find is authentic? So I guess that's a good question. Honestly, I look at the bottom of every piece first to see where it's made. A lot of pieces, like I collect a lot of teak bowls, and at the bottom it will say hand carved in Indonesia or hand carved in the Philippines or something like that. So, and it will tell me teak wood. You know what I mean? So I always check the bottom first or any labels that it may have to see if it's an authentic piece. Let's see here. Okay, I guess we went over all the questions.
Yeah. Can you hear me? You can't hear me?
Just a little bit.
Okay, same for you. I can only hear you a little bit, but I think it's enough to get us through. Can you hear me a little bit? Okay. Okay. So it seems like everybody else can hear me. So if there are any more questions, feel free to ask them, and we'll give it another minute. And then if not, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay, people are saying they can hear us, so I guess they can hear. We just can't hear each other.
Yeah, exactly. It's raining really hard here, so maybe that has to do with it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's the connection. But Danielle, are you going to be saving this video so that the viewers that came in a little later can see it?
Absolutely. So we had a snafu last week with we had our chief organizational officer give a presentation as well, or an interview on interior design and mental health. And I just need to work with my technology skills. But this week I definitely will be posting this to our stories and then recording it from our stories so that it doesn't disappear on me like the last one did, so that people can access this information in the future. And we'll also post it on our YouTube channel. So yeah.
Okay.
Well,
thanks everybody.
Yeah, I want to thank you. Thank you for offering your time,
welcome.
your energy, all your talents, and your knowledge to everyone who watched today. And I'm sure every single person that watched can take at least some element of what you brought to us in terms of creating a healing space, and take it and do it for themselves and all the people they touch with their design, whether it be their family, a formal client, or themselves. And we need this right now. So thank you so much for bringing that information to us.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I really hope I shared my talent and my gift with you. I really hope that you can incorporate some of these elements and items into your own home and just create that sacred space for yourself. You know, that oasis, that sanctuary space for you to, like I said, a place to be in peace, a place for prayer, a place to get still, for stillness when there's so much chaos going on in the world. Just remember to self-care and watch your mental health, because that's one thing that we've all been struggling with right now with everything that's going on, is just being mindful of our mental health. So I hope some of these tips really helped you guys, and I'm really happy for sharing them. Thank you for letting me be here today.
Absolutely. Do you want to tell folks where they can find you online?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me type it in so you guys can follow me on IG.
Okay, so she's gonna type in her Instagram profile so you can follow her after this call. And yeah, and if you want to follow Oasis, that's the organization that we all work with. We would love for you to follow us, to support us with volunteering, with dollar bills, with any encouraging resources in the community, and even referrals about, different people that you might know that might benefit from our services. Any of those things, we value all of it. And we appreciate your support. We appreciate you coming today and listening to our talk. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
I hope you have a good night.
Thank you for joining us.
All right. Bye.